You're watching She's Gone Country, growing up on the Christensen Brothers Rodeo Ranch. Becky and Vicki are sharing the roots of rodeo and connecting the generations with stories behind the stories of our rich Western heritage. Keeping the spirit of the American Cowboy and Cowgirl alive, they are the CB Cowgirls.
Well, good morning. Happy Monday. It is the beginning of a new week, and we are here at Mandalay Bay at the Roper Cowboy Marketplace in Las Vegas for the 2017 National Finals Rodeo. And I'm Becky Christensen-Mapston. I am your host, and I'm here with my co-host, Vicki Christensen-O'Shieles.
Good morning, everyone. We are really happy to be here. It's the start of a new week, a very special day on stage for us today. And before we bring up some wonderful guests, Becky and I just wanted to touch upon the fact that back in New York City at Times Square, there was an attempted terrorist attack that took some lives. And again, it just touches so close to home here because this is Military Monday, Becky.
Yes, it's Military Monday, and you know, we tend to think that just because something is happening in another town or another city or another state that we're not affected by it, but we all are. I know I had my son's girlfriend was back there, but in a hotel above the bombing. She's okay.
Right, and my husband's granddaughter and his daughter-in-law were back there, and they're okay.
Yeah. It's just important that we really, truly, with everything that's been going on, including what happened a couple months ago in Vegas, that we truly start to unite as a country and as people, no matter what our differences are. And I really think that this is a fabulous way to do it, honoring our military, because it is their service to our country that gives us the liberties and the freedoms that we still have today that many countries don't. So with that being said...
Absolutely. You know, again, the military, this is a tradition for She's Gone Country with the CB Cowgirls. So it's Military Monday.
Yes.
And let's get it rolling, Becky.
Yes. So we have a special guest co-host that's going to join us. He usually is behind the camera, and I'm telling you, he is very intricate in everything we do. He's a 23-year veteran. I want to welcome to the stage Bill McRoberts.
Welcome, Bill. We are proud to have you as part of our crew and very happy to have you on stage today for this special Military Monday.
Well, thank you, Vicki and Becky, and it's always an honor. This is my third year with you guys, I believe, to come back here each year.
Hey, you better put that mic up to your mouth. You tell me to.
Can you hear me now? Come back here every year with you guys and what you're doing to recognize our veterans and stuff. It's such an honor for me to be able to do this, and I can't thank you enough.
Well, and Bill, you not only are a 23-year veteran, but you're also a cowboy. You've been down the rodeo road, and you've actually experienced traveling and rodeoing, not just here in the United States, but over in Europe. Tell us a little bit about that with our listeners so they have a little bit of background about who you are.
Sure. Matter of fact, most of my rodeoing was during junior rodeo days and stuff. Rodeoed in Northwest quite a little bit, the NRA and stuff.
Pendleton, Oregon Cowboy.
Born and raised in Pendleton, Oregon.
Woohoo, Northwest.
But majority of my rodeoing was in the military, and I was with ERCA, European Rodeo Cowboys Association in Europe. And we traveled all over Europe putting on rodeos and stuff. And one of the things that I like to talk about that I'm proud of is we actually rodeoed in West Berlin when it was still West Berlin.
Wow.
So all those people over there got to see the experience as well.
Well, and you've since, retired. Living in Haines, Alaska, with your wife, Cheryl. And you do so much throughout the year, Bill. Not just on this Military Monday, but throughout the entire year, you choose to work and honor our veterans. And that's why Becky and I are so proud to have you part of our team. Tell us a little bit about what you do with the veterans and collages and that type of thing.
Sure. I had the honor of teaching at West Virginia University for 3 years when I was in the service. And while I was out there, I got interested in, I'd take the cadets out to Gettysburg and stuff. And I was looking at books and stuff, and I always wondered why, I'd see a picture of a veteran, didn't know his name, or I'd see a name of a veteran, I'd wonder what he looked like. So I started doing collage digital paintings of veterans. I've done about 250 so far. To recognize, I just want to put a name with the veteran. And so if you know any veterans out there at all, I do these for free. I will not charge a veteran for a piece at any time. But that's what got me into doing that. And like Becky and Vicki was talking about, we've taken this even further where I'm with the Bull Riding Hall of Fame. I'm on the board of directors of that. I work with Murtis Deitman at his Hall of Fame rodeo. And those guys at their rodeos, the Bull Riding Hall of Fame even, we are bringing military in this next year for the inductee ceremony that's actually going to open up the ceremony with the flag and everything for us. So we got all these big organizations other than She's Gone Country, who's really helped me open the door to all this. They're starting to recognize our veterans too.
Well, and another thing that's so wonderful that you're part of, and his work, his artwork is beautiful, his photography is beautiful, but you are the official photographer for PAFRA, which is, explain to our listeners PAFRA.
Yes, as Becky was saying, I am the official photographer for PAFRA, which is the Professional Armed Forces Rodeo Association. The last couple years, we had our finals down in Midland, Texas. This last October, we had it in Topeka, Kansas. And another thing I like about helping the veterans, I thought about starting my own program. My wife and I talked it over, but it made more sense for me to help other organizations that are already helping the veterans. So we're going to have guests on stage today that are representing war. We got another guest that's two guests that are retired military that have rodeoed in the Military Association. So it's just such an honor for me to be able to get with all these organizations that are willing to recognize our veterans. And again, like I said, I have to give Becky and Vicki all the credit for this, opening it up for me. So.
Well, we appreciate that you take the initiative to really have passion about it and put it together, because we just turned the floor over to him to schedule who he wants to come on and who he wants to honor, and we're just glad to be a part of it. So I would like to right now bring to the stage two individuals that we were introduced to through another partnership that we have with WAR, which is Warriors in Rodeo. Right. And Sherry Smith does a great job working with veterans to just help them. That a lot of veterans go through a lot of suicidal tendencies and a lot of adjusting when they come back from combat and just adjusting to normal life. And so she has several great programs. And so I'm excited to bring to the stage Greg Phillips and Courtney Phillips.
Courtney and Greg, welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us today.
Thank you.
Well, I know Bill and I had visited a little bit about Courtney with Sherry, and we reached out to you, and you have a phenomenal story. I know your husband, you both have served many, many years, many, many combat. So I think I would just like to if we could, before we go to our first commercial break, if you could take in just a short time, tell us a bit about your service and what branch of the military that you served in.
Well, I'm recently retired. I was an AH-64 Delta Longbow Apache helicopter pilot in command, and retired as a CW3 and spent most of my time with the 1st Air Cav.
Wow. And your husband, Greg, you?
I retired as Master Sergeant out of the Army and spent 21 years.
Okay, hold that up.
No.
We're not hearing you in there.
Is that better?
There you go.
So I spent 21 years. 15 of it was in Special Forces. I was a Green Beret.
Wow. Green Beret, that's intense training.
Yes,
I don't know if what I'm seeing in the documentaries that I see on TV and movies, if that truly is portrayed accurately, but it sure looks like it's some heavy-duty training.
Oh, it sure was. A lot of sleepless nights and long days.
And so very quickly, before we go to break, how did you two meet? Did you meet in the military?
No, we didn't meet in the military. We actually met at the Professional Armed Forces Rodeo Association finals.
I love that.
Wow, just all connected, all connected. Wow. We are here in Mandalay Bay at the Roper Cowboy Marketplace in Vegas for the WNFR for 2017. And it's been a great week, and we've got some great guests today. Before the break, we brought up our next two guests that we're going to visit with. And we'll just quickly reintroduce our guests for TV, and that is Courtney Phillips and Greg Phillips, along with Mr. Bill McRoberts. So thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's Military Monday, and we are so proud to honor our veterans. Well, right before the break, we found out, Courtney, that you and Greg met at a Professional Armed Forces, PAFRA, rodeo finals. And, going through your bios and reading all about, your deployments, your service to our country, just absolutely amazing. And you were a helicopter pilot. And can you share with our viewers and our audience a little bit about that type of service, Courtney? What made you want to go into
flying helicopters?
Yeah.
Wow.
Love it.
Well, even as a little girl, I wanted to fly helicopters, but my dad always told me that I was just too little, and I always hated the word no. So naturally, that was the first thing I wanted to do, was actually fly a helicopter. So 9/11 had happened, and I was in college, and so as soon as I got out of college, then that's what I did. I joined the Army, and the Army was dumb enough to give me the keys to an Apache helicopter.
Is it as difficult as it looks?
More so.
Yes. So you both have served in Afghanistan, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And I know that you have a very moving story, and I just think because what you went through and how you've overcome, I think it's really important that our listeners get to hear about that. So you had quite an experience flying that Apache helicopter. Will you share a little bit?
Sure. Most days were great, but one day we had a bit of a hard landing, and which in regular
Just say
terms
hard
would be a
landing is.
crash. And it wasn't my fault, even though there were two female pilots at the same time, and we all can make all the jokes you want about that. But those female drivers. But it was a mechanical error, and we basically fell out of the sky. We both walked away from it, but my spine took quite a beating. And so over time, it got to where I really had difficulty walking and had to go through a couple of years of just surgeries and not leaving the house other than doctor's appointments.
Wow.
So, and horses were obviously out of the question there for a long time.
Right, and that's what we were reading about, is that for 2 years you were not even able to ride or to have anything to do with your horse activities. And the thing about Courtney is Courtney's background. She's amazing. She runs barrels. She ropes. She works both ends of the arena. She rode bulls. So horses and rodeo are a huge part of your life, and you gave that up for 2 years. But we understand you're coming back strong, and we are just so happy to hear that, Courtney.
Yes, the doctors didn't really give me a green light, but they gave me enough of a green light. And so in May, I started riding horses again, and by June, I was starting to trot and lope. And so now I've been roping the sleds and started roping live cattle again. And
Wow.
And so 2018 will be my year at the WPRA finals for sure.
That's amazing. And one thing that I was noticing in both of your bios when I was reading is when you rodeoed, you both competed in the same sports. Am I correct? You both were bull riders.
Oh, you go ahead.
Well, I started off riding bulls. I had a couple of roommates from Oklahoma, and they got me started on that. But then I discovered bareback riding, and I really fell in love with riding broncs, so I kind of switched from bulls to broncs.
Gotcha. And you won, is that correct?
I won the women's national finals, the average at the national finals in 1999 in the bull riding. And it was something that I did for a few years, but I'd always roped before that and ran barrels before that, and I continued to. A lot of it was I was a broke college kid, and I couldn't afford to take my horse all over the country, so a rigging bag's a lot cheaper, and I wanted to still be able to rodeo, so that's the way I made it work. But by the time I was 21, I had hung up the rigging bag and had a new rope horse and just continued with breakaway roping and competing in that event, and had picked back up on rodeo pageantry.
Oh, okay, yeah. And now, Bill, you with PAFRA and you with Warswell, and both organizations are most of the members are very active in rodeo in some degree or another. Is that correct?
Yes, War has a little bit different program than PAFRA. PAFRA is strictly military families and stuff that compete there. War has spread out a little bit more, and I'll let Courtney talk to you more about that. Sherry Smith and I are good friends. I've been working with her but Courtney and Greg have come on board really strong. And Courtney and I was talking about that the other day, that it's kind of the same mission, but not the same mission, in the sense that we are working with veterans and we are working with rodeo. But we have kind of two different paths, so I'll let her explain to you more about what War's path is.
Okay.
Well, Warriors in Rodeo is an organization made up not just of veterans, but also law enforcement, firefighters, and EMTs. And we have three main missions in the Warriors in Rodeo program. Our first one is Operation Not on My Watch. So basically what we're trying to do there is create a new social network for these men and women, whether they are presently serving or if they've served in the past. Give them a new social network through rodeo. Rodeo is such a tight-knit family, and it's really important to let our veterans and our first responders become a part of that family. And so that we work we battle depression, loneliness, suicide, PTSD.
I think I remember when we were visiting maybe last year, Becky, with Sherry from Warriors and Rodeo. I remember her saying that, they always want the person in trouble to know that someone else cares and that you are all only a phone call away. We all can be connected and help that person through a difficult time. And Greg, you're the executive secretary of WAR.
Yes.
He likes that title.
It's actually a fun title.
Hey. But, we've been visiting with Courtney about her service. Greg, tell us a little bit. I mean, you were 4 combat deployments and, peacekeeping missions. Tell us a little bit about your background there.
I deployed once to Afghanistan, and then I had 3 deployments to the Philippines, where we're advising the Special Operations Troops of the Republic of Philippines. It's really an awesome trip over there to work with hand in hand with a foreign force. And then some of my peacekeeping operations, I went to Haiti for 4 months, and then I went to Bosnia for 6 months and actually lived with the Russian army.
Oh, wow. So I'm sure you've seen quite a bit of different cultures and just really how fortunate we are here in America and why we need our vets and why we're so honored to be home of the free and what did I say that wrong? Land of the free, home of the brave.
That's it.
Right, and what our overseas military deployment means to the countries that you're deployed in, and our presence, the military presence there, means a lot to all these countries scattered throughout the world.
And I have a question for actually all of you. A lot of times people that have maybe a misconception about the military or they don't think the military is as important as others think it is, and we should scale back or we need to ramp up, or I'm all for us having the best military in the world, but we're looked at a lot of times as the police for the world. Do you think that's a fair statement?
In a sense, we are in a position, and I agree. I think we have the best attitude of all the countries in the world. We do treat our people right. They do have a freedom of speech and stuff. And where it gets difficult is when you do start spreading out into other countries that don't recognize that. And people, like you said, start asking, do we need to be the police of force of the world? Well, my question is, do we want to help those people? How far are we willing to go to help these people have the same rights that we got?
That's very true. How do you feel about that, Courtney?
I definitely don't want to look at it as we're not a military police force. That's not our mission. But it is when we see injustices done, there's a time when you can't turn the other cheek.
Yes. Greg, what do you think?
Well, I go back to the motto of Special Forces, which is to free the oppressed. And so I believe, as the strongest nation on the planet, we should help the oppressed people of the world.
I agree. Great answers. And I think it's important to ask those questions because it opens up dialogue and it allows for those that maybe have those questions to hear what all of you that serve actually feel, because we're in an interesting time right now. And our military, honestly, I feel like has been under attack. So I think it's great that we have the opportunity to just sit up here and talk and honor you guys and talk about it.
Absolutely. Another thing too, Courtney and Greg, besides your background, together in Warriors and Rodeo, I thought it was really interesting to know that this beautiful lady sitting here in the center is past first runner-up to Miss Rodeo USA, and I'm certain that you're not all surprised. So, she continues to give back to the Western way of life, and that's what the CB Cowgirls and She's Gone Country is all about.
Well,
stories behind the stories.
Yeah, and I can't help but my eyes keep going to that shiny buckle she's wearing. Is that your world champion buckle?
That's the Women's National Finals rodeo champion buckle, yes.
For bull riding?
Yes,
that's
correct.
I just love it. I just notice I keep going back to that for bull riding.
It was some of the most fun times of my life, and I'll never forget getting to haul with some of the really great women out there and just getting to be a part of it.
Well, and there's a lot to be said, and I know it's a lot of the reason why we support the military. It's the camaraderie that's there, and between military and rodeo, it really helps those veterans come back and really reconnect and have the camaraderie that they're missing in the military.
And that's what I've always said. I like the rodeo. I grew up in Pendleton, and I like the military. But like I said, once you're in with either one of them, you are family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so before we go to commercial break, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show with us. And really quick, if you could let our audience know, where would they find more information about Warriors and Rodeo?
Our website is www.warriorsandrodeo.org. You can like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and everything will be under Warriors and Rodeo.
There you go, and we'll be right back with She's Gone Country with the CB Cowgirls. We are back with She's Gone Country, and we're the CB Cowgirls. I'm Becky Christensen-Mapston, and this is my co-host, Vicki Christensen-O'Shieles. It is Military Monday here at Roper Cowboy Marketplace in Mandalay Bay Convention Center at the WNFR, the National Finals Rodeo, and we are just happy to be here. Aunt Vicki?
Absolutely. Military Monday, one of our most favorite days. You know, we have special guests every single day back here during the WNFR, but Military Monday is really special to all our hearts. And right now, we're going to turn it over to veteran sitting next to us, and this is Bill McRoberts from Haines, Alaska. And Bill works hard throughout the year to put this day together to honor our military. So, Bill, please introduce your guests.
Thank you, Vicki. Well, the gentleman sitting next to me, the first one I'm going to introduce is really a close friend of mine. He's kind of like my hero. 30 years in the Marines. He works with a lot of veterans and stuff down in Temecula, California at the Manzanita Ranch, working on PTSD and stuff like that. He's a gold card holder in the PRCA. He's just done just about a little bit of everything. He worked a lot with the CIA during Vietnam and stuff. So he has a very interesting background. Mr. Lynn Maddox.
Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me here.
My second guest is Karen Dalton. Karen and I met on Facebook and stuff. She has a very unique program out in Rhode Island called the Dare to Dream Ranch. Karen works a lot of the stuff with the military and the rodeo and stuff. What some of the biggest concerns today is the PTSD, anger management, and stuff like that. Karen comes from a military background. She had a lot of experience with that. She started the Dare to Dream Ranch. She's got a magazine that she publishes called Rise, and this is how we met on Facebook. She asked me if she could do a story on me, and I designed the cover for her magazine. So I've got the honor of designing the magazine covers for her and finding other veterans for her magazine articles and stuff now. And her program's really amazing. We're looking forward to hearing about it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely.
And this last gentleman,
Yeah, I don't know who that is down there.
he's just a darn good friend, and he's he's a veteran, 83 years old, and this man just won a championship buckle at 83 years old. He's one of the first guys back in the old days, along with Lynn, that was rodeoing before the MRA and stuff even existed. He was out in California, Fort Ord, and we're going to let him talk about that and explain to you how that came about. But I would like to introduce you to Mr. Bud O'Shieles. And by the way, he's got another association up here on stage. And
Well, I was telling Becky this morning and Bill that, I honor all our veterans and love each and every one of you, but that man sitting on the end of that very last stool, I truly love. He's my husband.
And he has great stories.
Good to be with you.
Well, and you know what, I would like to just actually, if we could, let's touch on the gentleman. Bud stepped in for one of our guests, and we appreciate it. And I just think it's important that we send out well wishes and love to a guest that isn't going to be here today because he actually was just diagnosed with cancer. Bill, you want to just touch on that if you would, and we extend our warmest wishes to him and his family.
Yeah, Mr. Barry Gullo. I met Barry down in Fort Worth, Texas. Like I was saying earlier, I'm with the Bull Riding Hall of Fame down there and stuff. And he does a lot of work with the Bull Riding Hall of Fame. He's there every year. Another amazing gentleman, used to ride professionally, him and his son, and I don't know the full diagnosis. He's kind of keeping me up to date on, he's had his first treatment and everything, but he's another veteran we would have really loved to have honored up here, but we send out our best wishes and stuff, and I stay close in contact with him, but he's another one who will go out of his way to help the veterans in any way he can.
Yes.
Absolutely. You know, and we wish him well and add him to our prayer list. Mr. Maddox, it's great to see you again. You were here with us last year. Last year you were on stage, correct?
Yes, I'm just glad to be here, but I want to apologize for one thing. I was in a hurry to get here this morning, and I went off and left my hearing aids.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
we got to talk loud.
So,
Well, we'll just have Bill lean
Bill's
over and
right there
whisper in
next
your
to you.
sweet
We'll have
nothings
Bill.
in your ear.
but I would like to add for the veterans and the rodeos. I was started rodeoing in 1950. I didn't join the Marine Corps till 4 years later. Spent 30 years in the Marine Corps. I've had a gold card since 1985. I've had 4 bull rides in the PRCA of 90 points or better. I rode broncs, and I've run quite a few of them. Could have done a lot better if they hadn't have kept sending me overseas. Every time I would get going good in rodeo, the military, old Marine Corps, off to Vietnam, off somewhere else. But I had a great job in the Marine Corps. I was in Marine Corps counterintelligence, combat counterintelligence, and I actually have over 100 combat operations. I was wounded 4 times, and I'm 100% disabled right now. But I work with the men's in Eda Ranch. That's where the horses are the therapists. You cannot believe the good that working with horses and these veterans who are having problems with their post-traumatic stress disorder and other things. We even had one veteran who had lost his leg right up to his hip, and we got him set up to where he could ride them horses, and it made a whole new person out of him. So stick with them and help them veterans. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lynn. And Karen, that leads right into your story, what Lynn just touched upon. Tell us a little bit about the Dare to Dream Ranch and about your background and what was laid upon your heart to start this.
Yes, thank you. And what he was talking about the horses being the therapy is very true. So I am the daughter of a Marine, and my dad struggled with anger management issues. And by the age of 10, I learned what it was like to fly across the room for not feeding my pony. And that affected my life and ultimately affected my children. I learned that using horses, as well as other modalities, other alternative therapies like gardening, nutritional cooking, exercise, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, helped me from going to being disabled through a stress-related illness back to being healthy again and being an executive again. So our goal is to break that cycle. So I work with service members, veterans, and their families with post-traumatic stress, anxiety, depression, military sexual trauma, and mild traumatic brain injury. Rhode Island is the second most deployed National Guard in the country. We have some special forces that have been deployed 8, 9 times. The family is affected by that, especially if they have little children. So we work with the kids as well as the service member and helping them to be whole again. So equine therapy is only part of that. We have a retired Navy chief that does woodworking. We have a daughter of an Army veteran that does our fly fishing and fly tying. We do communication training, how to take military language into civilian words, and resume writing and more.
Well, and I was reading a little bit on your website, and I love your motto, We Rise. And RISE is an acronym, and it stands for Respect Each Other, Inspire Greatness, Support the Journey, and Empower for Success. And I really think that sums up so much because it is a rehabilitation, and mental illness affects so many. And it's not just military, but military sees so many things that traumatize them, and PTSD does go unnoticed. In fact, I know that for me, that's a big passion in the military is the fact that you can come back from serving in the military and you can earn awards and ribbons and accolades for a lot of the service, but not PTSD, and I think that's unfortunate that you can't earn a Purple Heart for that.
And on the second note of that too, Becky, and I'm sure Karen and everybody will agree with me, it's just not that individual, but it's his whole family. They all are under this.
Absolutely. So, yeah, support for the entire family, and that's very important because I know even the families feel isolated, and to bring the group together and to be there for them, that's amazing, Karen.
And now your father served in the military. How long did he serve?
He did his 4 years.
4 years.
And then he got out, yes.
Okay.
But one of the things that we've also recognized within my client base is that a lot of veterans may have gone into the military to get out of circumstances from their childhood. May have been aging out of DCYF. It could have been some type of physical, sexual, emotional abuse. It could be poverty. It could be to go into school. And then they find the camaraderie, and they find the structure and the mission and the purpose of being in the military, and they find that they lack that when they come back to being a civilian again. So we help them find that again.
Well, and I'm really excited because we have such an array of guests today, from Afghanistan to Vietnam and even to the Korean War. We're here in Las Vegas at the Roper Cowboy Marketplace, and it is Wrangler National Finals time. Gosh, we are in, what night are we in? It's Thursday, Friday? We're day 4.
Absolutely, Becky. And of course, we're filming for the Cowboy Channel. Becky and I are extremely happy to be affiliated with the Cowboy Channel. And we are visiting here on stage. It's Military Monday.
Military Monday. Hey, do you like my shirt? Cactus Rose gave me this shirt yesterday. They're one of our sponsors, and it's camo with flowers.
It is camo. I love that.
I
And
just
you know, talking about Cactus Rose, let's talk about a few of our other sponsors.
Yes, we have. I want to say thank you, of course, to American Hats. American Hats always dresses us in our Western hats each and every year, and we couldn't have a better sponsor for that. Of course, Trace Rios Silver. They've been with us for since day one, and they're over. I think American Hats is on all the stages.
Right.
I'm sorry,
right.
at all the shows.
All the shows. Trace Rios is at Cowboy Christmas, booth 511. Stop in and say hello to Brett and crew if you get over that way.
Yes, and make sure you head upstairs to booth 4206 for Cactus Rose. They're kind of tucked away in the back, but she's got beautiful clothes. And of course, we've been a radio show for 4 years, and we aired our show each and every week on Mondays on 4 Radio and 4 International. And Maria is always behind the scenes. She ran that for our production side of it, and she's an advocate for all that we do, especially on Military Monday. So our live audience will get to
Boyd
get Boyd. Oh, and of course we have Boyd Gaming. They're our presenting sponsor.
Exactly. Becky and I have been staying at the Orleans Hotel, and just a Boyd Gaming family, again, rodeo family. So thank you, Boyd Gaming.
Yeah, and it's been an interesting week because the finals started a bit late this year, and so a lot of the events that take place at the end of the finals happen the first weekend. So the Boyd Gaming Shootout happened this first weekend. The World Rodeo Gathering and Reunion happened this weekend. The Gold Card Reunion, and oh my goodness,
It's just been nonstop. I mean, since our feet
since
hit
we got
the deck.
here. Yep. So
Absolutely.
So with that, it's Monday and it's a new week, and so we're back for our final segment, and we want to talk about our final guest that's on stage with us, and he's pretty special to both of us up here, but a little bit more to this lady. So I'm going to turn it over to her.
Okay. Well, thank you, Becky. My husband, Bud O'Shieles, Korean War veteran, and loaded up from Texas and found himself in Fort Ord, California. And Bud, tell us a little bit about that experience.
That was one of those. Sergeant called me up and said, "You're from Texas?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Anyone else here from Texas?" And there was one other guy, and he said, "Do you ride a horse?" I said, "Yeah, I can ride a horse." And the other fellow said, "I can't." So he said, "Okay, you come with me, O'Shieles." So I go, and he said, "We're going to have a rodeo team." I said, "Well, that's great." Didn't know I was going to get in one in California. But long story short, we put together a rodeo team. We went down to San Diego. I was in the Army, and they had a group of Marines. This gentleman may have been down there sometime later. But it was loosely organized, but we did have a rodeo.
And that was back before military rodeo even kicked in. And then I know Bud found himself up in Washington State at Fort Lewis, and then he was overseas in Korea, came back home, has been involved with rodeo all of his life.
Yeah, I've stayed involved with the Rodeo Houston, of course. I'm a director there and lifetime vice president. And with the Fort Bend County Fair down in Rosenberg, I'm a past president of it. So it's a smaller scale, but stayed involved with kids and the rodeo, team roping, still enjoy team roping. Got lucky and won one a couple of months ago. So anyway, stay involved.
And as of late, he's become the I call him the commissioner. I go to him for lots of advice and insight because of his wise wisdom.
You get older, you get a little wiser.
Well, it's supposed to happen.
Yes.
There's hope for us,
Yes.
Becky. Well, Bud, we thank you for your service. I know you stepped in at the last minute, and we're just so happy to have you here.
I'm glad to be with all these guys and the others that were up here.
Well, and one question that I do want to ask, I think, and we can address to each of you, or one of you can start. I think it's interesting, like I said before break, that each and every one of you have served in different capacities. Your father served in the military as well in a different era, and you've all seen different faces of combat, but I think the face of PTSD remains the same, and it's consistent no matter which generation you come from. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. From Vietnam that were forced to come back and take off their uniform and get right back out there, that now they're retiring and they're having flashbacks because they're having downtime. That's what I'm seeing. So the different eras are having different circumstances. I have a lot of service members that are coming to me right now that are in their late 20s and early 30s and really struggling with not having that mission and purpose back as a civilian. So that's been a big struggle.
Right. How about you, Mr. Lynn Maddox?
Veterans, active duty military, rodeo, and the environment around rodeo, the people. My family are the rodeo fans. I don't care anything about these people that don't care about us. Rodeo people, I have found through my years, are always there to help. And I can't walk without the help that I've gotten through people like that. I am 100% combat disabled, but I haven't quit. And I want you all to take in mind that there was a war horse, the only true war horse ever in history, and that's Sergeant Reckless. Sergeant Reckless belonged to the Marines during Korea. She was so good. Buy the book. Buy the book. It's by Robin Hutton. Buy the book and read it. Give it to your kids, your friends, because she had the can-do, will-do attitude. I used that, and it took me through over 3 years of combat in Vietnam, being wounded 4 times, and doing undercover work in counterintelligence. A horse, which is the pride of the rodeo and is the pride of the Marines. A horse is what carried me through to I'm here today.
Well, thank you, Lynn Maddox. And I know that real quick, Karen, speaking of horses and the horse therapy, can you tell our audience how they find you and more information if they want to get involved on a volunteer basis or just learn more about your organization?
Absolutely. You can find us at www.daretodreamranch.org, as well as on Facebook at Dare to Dream Ranch. You can get involved with volunteering. We have our magazine. If you have a company that you would like to be a sponsor, place an ad to be able to reach our military. We had over 200 magazines go out in the last 6 months to pre- and post-deployment for our National Guard members.
Awesome.
Besides the stories, we also provide resources to them in different capacities that they may need services.
Wonderful. And you know, we are running down to the last few minutes of our show and to the hour, and as we do that, I want to just ask, I'm going to turn the mic over to Bill. We got about 2 minutes, and ask Gray Mapston to come to the stage, my husband, as we're going to do a presentation. When Lynn was with us, we gave him a heart for veterans and honored his service, and we want to honor Bud today, so I'm going to turn it over to Bill.
This is a collage that Bill created for Bud.
Okay, we're giving this to Bud. This is the kind of artwork and stuff I do for all our veterans and stuff. Like I said, I've done about 250 of them, and now I'm trying to get in with the policemen, the firemen, anybody. I feel anybody that has served their country, served their community, like I was talking about at the beginning, needs a face and a name put to it so they can be recognized and honored for what they've done for our country. So on behalf of Mr. Bud O'Shieles, I'd like to present this military collage piece I put together for you, sir.
Quite a surprise, Bill. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome.
Give him a hand. That's a beautiful collage, and we'll take a closer photo of it and put it on our Facebook page, She's Gone Country, and out on our Instagram page, which is under CB Cowgirls. But we have really enjoyed our show today, and we're looking forward to our upcoming shows this week. Be sure to go to our Facebook page and our Instagram page to see who's coming up this week. Cowboy Channel will air this at 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, day lag. But I'm going to turn it over to Aunt Vicki to close out the show. She's got about, just a little bit of time. But take it over, Aunt Vicki.
All right, Becky, thank you so much. We want to thank all of you for being here with us today, and we are all proud to be an American. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Lynn, Karen, Bud, all of our
Thank you.
guests.
Thank you.
Courtney and Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you.